Hello, beautiful angels. It is Olivia Grace, and I'm back with another video for you guys. And today's video is a part 2 to the last video that I put up talking about how to forgive others. Today, we're going to be getting into the specifics of the tips and tricks and processes that you can do to actually release that hurt. Part 1 was really about realizing that we have created this and realizing that when it comes to people hurting us and how we're creating this in our world, that it is up to us to change and not up to others to change. So I go into more detail about that in part 1. And I'll link that in the description so you guys can check it out if you missed it. But let's go ahead and get into the video. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of law of assumption techniques, as well as just a spiritual technique that you can do and practice to let go of the hurt that someone may have caused you. Because yes, we get like, yeah, we're creating these things, but what do we do afterwards? And again, you guys, like I said in the beginning, this is about changing self, right? Because we can't change others. We can't make other people act differently. And I'll also be talking about how do we interact with these people after we've forgiven them, after we've taken responsibility. You know, how do we continue to interact with this person? So first, let's get into the first technique. This is my go-to when it comes to forgiveness, and it is the Ho'oponopono prayer. This is an ancient Hawaiian prayer that focuses on taking responsibility for creating your reality, but also like compassion, like extreme amounts of compassion. And honestly, you guys, compassion is what the complete opposite of basically holding on to resentment is. Compassion is being able to look at someone and know that even if they're the shittiest person in the world, no one is waking up intending to be that way. Everybody is honestly doing their best, and sometimes their best is just shittiness, you know? But and then again, recognizing that, okay, I brought this into my experience. So what, you know, I'm a part of this too. Not that it's your fault, but I have a part in this dance with this other person, right? So the Ho'oponopono prayer goes like this. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Or it might be, yes, thank you. I love you. That's right. So I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And when I first heard this, I was like, what part of that is forgiving anyone? Like, that sounds like I'm like forgiving myself or something. But what it is you're saying, I'm sorry for basically creating this. I'm sorry for calling that quality forth from you. And I'm going to pause right here, you guys, because when you want to forgive somebody and you have a lot of anger and resentment towards somebody, these things can be challenging, okay? I am not at all saying that this is an easy thing. This is not something that you just do overnight. This is not something that just, you know, will happen after this video, especially, you know, depending on the hurt that you're working through. It takes time to continuously release that. But again, we are the only ones that we can change. We are the only ones that we can change. So we have to do the work within ourselves, okay? So back to what I was saying. I'm sorry for the part of me that called this forth from you, okay? Please forgive me for that, you know? Thank you, because you're already accepting that they've accepted your apology. And I love you. And I love you is, again, a pure form of compassion, a pure form of letting it be. And I love you. The God in me recognizes the God in you, right? This prayer is extremely powerful. And you just basically say it over and over. You can journal it if you want. You can think of this person and start saying it. And again, like I said, be patient with yourself, you guys, because these things, it can take time to, you know, depending on the hurt that this person did to you, it can take time, okay? So the next thing is revision. Revision is So powerful, you guys. And if you don't know what revision is, I will link a video in the description, but you basically reimagine the incident that happened between you and this person, and you imagine it in the way that you would have liked for it to play out instead. And you know, there are some people that feel like, yes, this actually changes the past. Some people feel like, well, it just basically puts you on the timeline to where your future will play out as if that past happened, that the one that you reimagine. So you basically, like, let's say for instance, I don't know, you and your friend were going out to eat. You guys got in a big argument about where to go eat, and it ended up just turning into like this big blowout. And, you know, now you guys are not speaking. So something simple, you could just revise that you guys, I don't know, completely came to agreement on where to eat, went there. You can imagine yourselves having fun, enjoying each other's company, and going home and everything going as normal. And what, I can't tell you exactly what will happen, but it will be something along the lines that maybe your friend comes and apologizes to you, or maybe your friend acts like that it never happened. That has happened to me before. My boyfriend and I had gotten into like an argument, and I revised it, and when I got home, he had completely forgotten that we had gotten in an argument. And he is like, that's not like him to forget something like that. So that is another technique. And I really like revision, you guys, because when you really rewrite the whole past, because the past kind of like anchors us to the story that we're telling, which is actually the next tip that I'm going to talk about. But this thing that happened is how I know that I'm mad at you, you know, this thing, and it creates all these other feelings, all these other just beliefs, and, you know, all of these things. You know, this person treated me like this one time, so that must mean that, you know, my self-concept is off, or that must mean that you know, people just don't like me, or whatever. We create a whole story off of this maybe one thing that has happened to us. So when you revise that completely and you really do it correctly, you guys, it literally rewrites that, so you don't have those same feelings, you don't have those same beliefs, and you can just really remind yourself of what you're choosing now, or what you've chosen in your revised imaginal scene. And the next thing that I was talking about kind of goes along with this is putting people into a new role. Now, again, depending on what this person has done, also depending on how often you interact with them, will depend on how easy this is to do. But you can really like completely reimagine the role that they're playing. And I talk about roles and putting people in roles in the last video as well. So yeah, like when people are acting out what you expect them to act out as, even if you're not expecting it on a conscious level, like even if you're just expecting it, like maybe you have a general belief, right? Which is actually going to lead into my next tip, which is so funny how they all just like lead into each other. But if you have a general belief, right? Maybe you have a general belief about men or something like that. And that is playing, but you meet this one guy, he seems like a nice guy, whatever. But then he starts to conform to that generalized belief that you have, right? About men. So, and you may be thinking, well, I didn't think that about him specifically, but that general belief, he's a man, so he falls into that category. So I'm hoping that makes sense. But basically, you can put this person into a completely new role. Like, let's say, for instance, let's say you have like a bratty little sister, right? And she's always throwing tantrums. She's always causing you problems. She's always like messing up your room or doing whatever. Like, I don't know, something like this is just a simple example. So you could put her in a new role. You could put her in a new role as a cool little sister, or somebody that is, you know, maybe quiet and stays to herself, or somebody that is more happy or more grateful or less bratty or whatever, you know? So you can really basically just put people into the role that you want them to be in. And I've done this countless times, you guys. Not really so much with forgiveness, but with me manifesting for others. Like if I know somebody to be, let's say like I know somebody and I know them to be depressed all the time, I will change my mind and start to see them as someone who is happy. And even when they come to me and they're still talking about how they're feeling depressed, or they're still telling me, you know, whatever, I persist in my new assumption. This is what I did with my boyfriend. When I started to assume that he's rich, right? And he literally, guys, he just got another raise, like for almost double what he was getting paid per hour, plus like all like extra money, like all this stuff. So that's still unfolding. But I took him out of the role as, you know, struggling or having a lot on him or too much on him or whatever, and put him into the role of someone that is rich, a man that is, you know, just attracting money left and right. And that I put him into that role. Now, when you're constantly interacting with someone and you're seeing them play out the old role all the time, it can be a little bit more difficult. But again, it just takes your persistence, you guys. You are more powerful. And realizing that the things that you're seeing in your 3D are the things that you've been creating up to this point, right? So whatever, like what you're assuming now, give it time to harden into fact is what I'm saying. Give it persistence. Have faith in have faith in your power, honestly. Have faith in your power, because when you have faith in your power, you guys, you won't be thrown off so much by the 3D. And I actually have a really amazing story that I'm going to tell you guys, but that'll probably be the next video. So, put them into a new role though. Put them into the role, like those examples I just gave, you know, whatever it is in your life. If they're a person that's selfish, see them being selfless. If they're a person that's rude, see them being kind and polite, you know, et cetera, and really knowing that your mind has the power to do that. Okay. Now the blanket affirmation, this is the last tip that I have for you guys. This is what I've been doing, right? Because honestly, you guys, this is something that I'm really learning myself, is how to forgive and how to let go, because I'm a Cancer, so I'm sensitive. And when I feel hurt by someone, even if it's someone I don't even like know or care about, it can really like touch deep for me. And it can really upset me and bother me and like be on my mind for days and days and days. And as I've just basically been on a journey of really, really raising my vibe, really releasing doubt and fear, and getting closer to God, it's just, there's not much room for resentment in that, because resentment is a very low vibration. So what I have been doing is using a blanket affirmation, which is that everyone in my life, in my reality, is harmonious and prosperous. Everyone in my life, in my reality, is harmonious and prosperous. And when I start to have, you know, thoughts, like when I start to think, oh, well, this person did this and that was so this way and it made me feel that way and I wish I would have said this, it's like I can just let go of that. I can trade that thought. I can trade that train of thought that's leading me to anger or bitterness or resentment. And I can switch that train of thought and choose instead to be on the train of thought of everyone in my reality is harmonious and prosperous. And people have started to show up differently in my reality. I definitely have just seen a difference since I've been using it. It's only been like maybe a few weeks that I've been using it. But that is a great thing when you find yourself going on a loop, when you find yourself feeling upset or whatever, you can start saying, or when you're really like expecting something negative from someone, or expecting someone to act a way that they've previously acted or done something that has hurt you, you can start just telling yourself, everyone in my reality is harmonious and prosperous. And that has worked really quickly for me. So out of these tips, you guys, when it's a deep, deep hurt, I would definitely recommend doing the whole pono prayer and doing revision on that. And if it's something that's less intense, then the new role, placing them in a new role and the blanket affirmation, I think would do great. So now someone actually asked this question on my YouTube. she asked me as well to cover, how do you act around people? Like after we have, you know, forgiven them or gone on the journey to forgive them or whatever, how do we then interact with this person? Because how do you even like trust them again? Or, you know, like, how do you deal with that? And that is such a great question. And to me, like, this is how I do it. For me, it really depends on my relationship with the person. And to be honest, it really depends on what is this person adding to my life, right? Because if this is a person that is adding significantly to my life, if this is a person that I really love and care about and value, well, then it's worth it for me to work through the pain and work through the hurt that I'm going through and to mend our relationship and to truly just let it go. Let bygones be bygones, right? Now, when it's not somebody that is so important to you, maybe like a coworker or an old friend or, you know, a boyfriend or somebody that's not like benefiting your life, to be honest, you know, somebody that is just constantly a drag on your life and does nothing for you, I don't really see the point in maintaining them in your life. And that's just me, you know? And I'm not a very social person. So I'm not a person that really cares to have lots and lots of people in my life anyway. But if you're a person that, you know, I'm consistently having a negative experience with, then I'm just going to sever that friendship or that relationship with that person. Now, like if it's let's say it's a coworker and this is somebody that you have to be around, or even if it is like somebody that you maybe go to school with or something like that. If it's someone that you have to be around, you can be polite, right? You can be cordial. You can let go of, hey, they're just playing the role that I put them in, or they're just acting out of their wounds, or whatever it is that makes them act the way that they are. But you can just basically like just have boundaries, really. And you basically decide, how close do I want this person to be with me? If this is a person that's constantly, you know, taking out from my heart, taking out from my energy, like depleting me, well, you're not a person that I need to be interacting with probably at all if I can help it. But if you're a person that I have to see on a regular basis, then I can keep it cordial. I don't have to look at you stank every time you walk by, or, you know, gossip about you or whatever. I can let go. I can let you be what you be, but I don't need to have lunch with you. We don't need to be BFFs. We don't need to do all that, right? And then, of course, if it's someone that is close to you, someone that really matters to you, I would suggest having a conversation with them. And this is something that I'm, again, working on myself, because I am very much, like I said, like, I don't want to say cancel culture, because cancel culture also really gets on my nerves, but I'm quick to let you know, like, I don't need you in my life. Like, you're good. You can go. But some things and some people are worth to sit down and chat with and let them know, because sometimes, first of all, you guys, something I realized is that people don't see things the way that you see things. People don't think, like, something for me was, if someone comes like out of pocket for me, I don't care who you are, family, friend, whoever, I'm not messing with you anymore, you know? And my reasoning behind that was, well, if we're friends, then you wouldn't do that in the first place, right? But what other people's reasoning is, well, if we're friends, then we should be able to work through things. And I could see that. I can understand that, because people are not perfect. Me, I'm not an explosive, like angry or aggressive person. So it doesn't really matter how upset I am most of the time. I'm not going to go there. It's going to take so much for me to go there. It's just probably not going to happen. For other people, their fuse is much shorter. So they snap quicker and they go off and they're more impulsive and they say things without necessarily considering what they're saying and the effects. But it doesn't mean that they don't love you or care about you or that you don't mean anything to them, right? They just have a self-control problem, basically. So if this is someone that you're close with and they have issues like that, you know, then they're thinking of it, well, if we're friends or if we're together or whatever, we're supposed to be able to work through these things. So really, like, having the conversation and seeing, where was this person coming from? Even what you'll find too is a lot of times when you're triggered super bad by somebody, especially someone that's close to you, they're triggered too. Their trigger is triggering you, and your trigger is triggering them. That happens so many times, you guys. But because we're so triggered and we're so convinced that, well, I'm right and they're wrong, so their point of view and their feelings hasn't even occurred to you or doesn't even matter to you because you're so convinced about how you feel. But if you actually hear them out, you'll be able to see, well, oh, okay, that makes sense how that thing has led to this thing, has led to this thing, which led you to act the way that you acted, right? So depending, it's really a sliding scale. I wouldn't say there's one way to handle or to deal with people. It just depends on how much that relationship really means to you. And you know, all of that. So that is the video for today, you guys. I intend that this really helped you. I intend that you guys do forgive these people in your life, because as I said, you guys, resentment is it's not a great vibration to live in. It's not, it will keep you down. It's like weight on your ankles. You know, you don't need that. And again, forgiveness is not about the other person. It's about you. It's about you choosing yourself and choosing your peace. So I intend that you guys take this today and start practicing some of these techniques to forgive others. And I love you guys so much. If you like this video, please like it, comment. It helps to support my channel. But other than that, I will see you guys in the next one.